Well, in a way, there's more than one answer because it's just kind of what that represents could be many things and it's at different levels. So I could use that metaphor in different ways, and I don't, doesn't matter how I used it when you're referring to, but I can, let's say, I can put it in two kind of levels. One is what you're describing, which is kind of the natural reactivity. And so that's the kind of work that takes more time. So it's like you realize that the contraction is you. The point of using the fist is that you realize it's you. And so for others who are listening, I'll kind of repeat it. There's a sense that we are suffering, and that's this metaphor of the tight, contracted fist. But that contraction is us. We're doing it. And so, but because we've done it for so long, first we become numb to it. So we're unaware that there's this contraction. And then we're unaware that once we notice it, we are unaware that it's us doing it. And so a lot of this work is the kind of, the recognition is the seeing, oh, that's me. I'm doing that. And so then something can be undone, but then that takes a bit of time. It's not instantaneous. And there's an aspect of that where the metaphor kind of at different levels applies, where that opening in a sense is endless. And there's a natural kind of reactivity of the human body mind to the reactivity around survival and death, which for the body mind is ultimately guaranteed. And so there will be responses that are trigger responses. They, theoretically they can all be undone, but I wouldn't say to consider that as a practical thing, because that you start to talk about maybe a few people in the history of humanity. And so just understand that at one level there's a constant movement of recognizing and realizing that the openness it's more efficient in every sense. It's more efficient for the harmony of whatever situation. But to not interpret the openness as, for example, not saying no to somebody, that's not what I'm referring to. It's at an energetic level. It's an accepting of what's happening and then meeting it directly and then deciding and discerning how to relate from there. But the deeper pointing of this is that at a deeper level, it's you that is doing the contracting, and that's the identification. So the body mind can still contract. And then that's what I was referring to earlier, where there's this constant moving and the practice of opening. And that I often talk about, and I refer to it more as growing up, is that we, in a sense, apply the wisdom that we've learned, and that is this opening. But at a deeper level, something can happen that is the identification itself is also a contraction. So that's why I'm talking about two levels. One is the body-mind contracting, and the other is the sense of what I am contracting into an appearance. And so in the meditation I was pointing to, there might be a sense of focusing onto sensation or thought. And there's this kind of crunching sense that can happen. And it's this constant filtering the experience as what is I and inside and what is not I and outside. And that's the contraction that I'm referring to, ultimately the one I was referring to, I think. And so back to your question, they're both happening, right? You're noticing the reactivity with your friend or this person, and there's the application of your understanding at the level where you're working through that. But don't expect the reactivity to fully stop. Just expect that at whatever level it was in the past, it will stop. So you might notice certain types of reactivity will suddenly be gone, but there will always be a human element. And in fact, I recommend the choice of that, where there is a full involvement of the human aspect of life, where all of it is appreciated and experienced. And then there's the discernment of what to act on. But to be able to let you as Jason feel everything that you as Jason feels, in the kind of, even including the instinctual elements of the mammal, for all of that to also be involved in life. And so that will bring energies and contractions and reactions that are natural to being, to a part of us being a mammal. But that is different from the sense of that's what I am and only that. Because when what I am is only that, then the survival instinct is going to be ruling. The mammal is going to be acting and leading, in the sense of the instinct of survival, and so fear is going to be leading. And this is something that can only really be undone with a realization. You can't talk yourself out of this. You can't believe yourself out of this. You have to see so clearly that you are not that, and in your experience has to be very, very clear. And then when the instinct appears, it'll be known as that. And then there will be a possibility of a choice to move with that energy or not. Yeah, it's because of where you're at, there's a level of subtlety that can be confusing, but it will be the sense of, to some degree, what I am is limited to the body-mind. And that's not a black and white thing. There's a bit of the contraction is a bit of like, I am more that than what is real. And to the degree that that's activated, because this is this movement of coming and going of identification, but it's not a black and white thing. And so the choice is actually that kind of preference, the preference to be exclusively. And for example, to the degree that you start to experience, I think you said it was a friend, but the person you were having this conflict with, to the degree that you experience that as an other, then you're taking side with, versus you have a point of view that is, but what is experienced is the whole of that dynamic. And then the functioning can be in service to the dynamic and the energies that are the whole system. And so what's then moving is what is the best for this versus what is in service to exclusively. And it could still be that from your point of view, what is in service to the whole is you pushing back on something. I don't think there's a lot, I mean, because we can go into the details of what happened in all of your process, and then we can figure out what you can learn from that. Mm-hmm. So it's about what you can learn from that, what you can see now from the information of that experience versus what you could have done in the sense of there's something that you did that was wrong. So because it's about what you can see now from that experience. One of the things you can look at, this is more generally speaking, is do you, and if it matters for you to be kind of transparent and honest with yourself, and this is not for you to answer now in the group, but it's, do you have a sense that you unnecessarily hurt another? And then to what degree and to what degree were you suffering? And by that, I mean a deep essential sense of what's happening shouldn't be happening. Mm-hmm. And those two go together, because usually when what's happening shouldn't be happening, then we unnecessarily hurt another. And that's more like an open, it's a way to kind of more deeply inquire into the dynamics. But it has to do with what you're asking, which is the how to deepen in the realization.